Well, I'm finally on my way home. I don't know if you guys are watching the simulcast, but Ayers, the announcer's a friend of ours, and made a little joke about me sticking around. After Red Overbox race, I told everybody I was leaving and going home. What is that? It's not a high-speed chase, it's a fire truck, I think. Anyway, so I get back to the barn with Red Overbach, talk to Cindy real quick. I'm taking my gear off as I'm talking to her, unzip my suit, and I hear Anthony McDonald, paddock office. Usually if you get fined or something, I said, I didn't do anything wrong. What are they calling me for? So our barn at Northfield Park, if you've never been there, is quite a ways away from the paddock. Pretty big property. It would be a 5-minute walk. I would say 2, maybe 3 city blocks. 2 for sure away from the paddock. So maybe not 5 minutes, but it feels like it. So I don't have the paddock judge's number. I'm looking, I said, whatever. And just as I hear it, I hear the announcer, Ayers. Now I got Ayers' number. So I call Ayers. I said, hey, Mike was just paging me to come to the paddock office. What do they need me for? He goes, I'm not sure. So he calls down to the paddock. I can hear him pick up the other phone. This is the announcer. Calls down. He said, Mike, Anthony said he couldn't get a hold of you, blah, blah, blah. He says, yeah, he's got to drive in the next race, and the people were worried that he left. Now, I had told, maybe I didn't tell him. I thought I told Jason that, well, maybe I didn't, that I didn't want to be there after the 4th race. I was leaving immediately after the 4th. So I'm like, okay, so I go up to the paddock, and I post-parade the horse. The guy says, I can't, he doesn't leave very good. Come on now. Doesn't leave very good. Just try and hold position and get him in the flow. He left pretty good tonight. Purple, whatever. It wasn't Purple Aura. I don't know what I'm hearing his name. I didn't know the name of the horse. Keep in mind, I didn't know I had to drive until I got to the paddock. It's not like I had time to pick up the program. Thankfully, they have the new tote board on. I can see my odds. They're like 5-1 or something. Halfway down the stretch behind the gate, I got him revved up. I have every intention of leaving, but I'm watching the 2, the 3, and especially the 1, who's the favorite. The 5 beside me is second favorite. I at least want to stay in between those 2 if I can and not be parked. Anyway, blasts over the front quick. Chris Lemsbury moves. I get up and win at the wire. So I leave. So it was a decent night. I still don't know the name of the horse. Anyway, I was happy. They were happy. Good for them. Happy Thanksgiving. I was happy to drive the horse, and as I said, race 7, no. Race 5, sure. Instead of leaving and being 40 minutes into a 4-hour and 20-minute trip, 0 minutes into 10 minutes into a 4-hour and 20-minute trip. So I'll get home at 1 instead of 12:15, 12:20. Anyway, it worked out good. We won a race, and that's that. Well, I won a race. You didn't win anything. Red Overbach race tonight. Now, this is coming off, I guess, I thought it was a funny story to open with, but let's rewind all the way back to last night. Had a great night. I forgot to talk about Adrenaline Rush because, I'll be completely frank, in the middle of racing all our horses and trying to have everything straight, I forgot about Adrenaline Rush until I woke up this morning. I'm like, I don't think I saw an Adrenaline Rush video, and then I looked at his lines quickly, and lo and behold, he raced good. Looks like he raced great and finished second. So, a good night. I thought we had a good night. We did an even better night. We had 2 wins, 2 seconds, and a 4th. So, a good night. Real good night at the stable. Wake up today, go to the barn early. Now, Daryl and Lauren didn't think that I could get up early enough. I was at the barn at 7:40. I said 7:30. Little lineup in Starbucks, no big deal. Got to the barn early. The problem was that not everybody knew we were starting early, so not everybody was completely ready to go. We had 8 sets to go with, right? Joey wanted to go with his horse, his own horse. By the way, a funny story also, Joey is Joey Cramp, works for us. Really, really nice guy. Great set of hands on him for a young guy. And they bought Sippin' on My Shine's full brother. Nothing like Sippin' on My Shine. Sippin' on My Shine was a complete lunatic from day one, and still is, by the way, somewhat. This guy? No, not at all. So it's kind of weird how things are. It would fall, from what I can see, under the same situation as Muhammad Ali being the world champion of the world and his brother being a dishwasher in a restaurant. That would be very similar. And I don't know which one of them is Muhammad Ali, so in this particular story. So we had 8 sets to go today. I was so impressed. This is what happens, and I know it. You know, I go with the ones I go with, and I gush about the ones I went with, but we had a lot of really nice horses go today. You know what the ones I like? I like the ones, I wanted to go with ones today either that were fresh out of Harrisburg that I wanted to get a look at, or horses that maybe either I went with them and wasn't super impressed with them. They went good. But I expected more in the last, when Amy and I went and trained them. Now, I apologize. I didn't have any videos to take because we were short a couple of caretakers, which meant we were most definitely short a cameraman. So, I believe, as of right now, I got my wife talked into coming over Saturday. I have not looked at the weather. I'll have to do that. But if it is anything like today, we are most definitely coming over here and going to babies. And I will try and get some videos for you guys. A lot to talk about, so I'm going to do it quick because this will be loaded on my mobile data. Gypsy Hill. I love this horse at the sale. Thought one of my top picks in the sale. Him and Prince Charmer actually were both top picks in the sale. Gypsy Hill, I thought was a little lazy. Was picking at himself in the videos from last time. I wanted to go with him today. Oh my God Almighty! What a difference 2 weeks makes. That horse could train a mile in 2:40 right now, no problem. Now, you need to understand the context also, and so do I. The Ohio horses come in, 2 weeks before Lexington, and Lexington were, almost a month before Harrisburg. So you're looking at 5 weeks of experience before the Harrisburg horses, which is even more impressive than something I'm going to tell you in a minute. So I go with Gypsy Hill. Man, he looked good. Virtually everything I went with, they looked good. A couple, myself in the burr, I didn't like the way he looked today, and I actually had Mike go out and go over and x-ray him a bunch of his knees, hocks, usual suspects. He went all over him and couldn't find anything wrong with him. So, a little lethargic, a little sulky a little bit. We're going to castrate myself in the burr, and we're also going to castrate Mounds for All. Mounds for All, just the same type of thing. Little sulky and not wanting to do his work, and I love his sister Tactical Mounds, and I don't dislike Mounds for All, but they had to pick at him today. And the kicker for me was when we went to put them away and he's eating lunch and bouncing around. Hold on now. You want to look lethargic on the track, you want to be lethargic in the stall. If you're going to bounce around the stall and be that way in the track, old Snippy time is coming. So, Mounds for All and myself in this bar, I think that's his name, they're both going to be castrated on Saturday. I'd almost want to give myself in this bar just a little more time anyway. He just doesn't, he looks bright, he's putting on weight, but he just doesn't look happy. He doesn't look comfortable. Is that and there's nothing, like Mike went all over him. I said, Mike, just give me something. I thought it would be like maybe an OCD and a hock and an ankle and another place. We're like, all right, we got to take some stuff out. Got to do a little work here. There's nothing found. So good in that sense, but much like, I'll get to a story in a minute about a horse in Ontario we had to the vet today. The problem with not finding anything is not having that closure, right? Not knowing, okay, this is where we're at, there's where we'd like to be, and this is how we get there. That story never gets written when you don't know what is going on, or maybe it's just maturity. I don't know. And you could convince me that maybe he had a testicle that was a little pinchy. Sometimes they'll have a twist in the cord or something, and they just don't look comfortable. That's how this guy looked. So another reason to castrate him. I'm not castrating because I'm angry at him. Clearly, something's bugging him. But it's not completely clear what that is. So for now, we're going to castrate him and continue on. We'll see. Castrate him, and then we'll turn the page and see where we go from here. Now, Gypsy Hill was incredible today. Who's the other? Wow. The reason I'm having trouble thinking about horses I like is because one horse wowed me today. Now, I thought that Mel Gibbswan looked good. I didn't go with him. Jason Merriman went with him. He looked really nice on the track. number of horses look very. The Michigan filly's got a beautiful gait. The mouth on her like a little bit of a buffalo, but nice gait when she's going. The Jurassic Park filly. No name Hanover. She was good. Gypsy Hill was fantastic, but the horse that wowed me today was who I wanted to see. Now, I didn't get a chance to go with Gold Bug today. She had a little temperature, so we didn't go with her. They said she's been going great and perfect. I went with Southwind Digit, and I'm sitting around horses that have been going. Southwind Digit doesn't even have her shoes on behind. The blacksmith's just getting caught up. These horses from Harrisburg weren't here very long. She shot now, but this morning when she went on the track, she didn't even have shoes on behind. In fact, she's such a natural trotter. They have aluminums on her up front. Beautiful gait. So I'm going along and I'm thinking, geez, she trots really nice. As I'm telling the story, I'm trying to figure out the other horse I thought was amazing, because there was one more. But she just seemed to overshadow because she was so strong. I'm sitting like fourth. I moved her a little bit, and she did her work well. I was really impressed. Then as we went 3 laps, and then the last lap we kind of sped them up a little bit. Barely training speed, but we did speed them up a little bit. And the last 3/8 we tried to let them trot or pace or whatever a little bit also. Arson was very good also. Another one that caught my eye. Didn't go with him. As we came out of the turn, there was a horse first over. There was a horse on the front. There was a horse. He was going to duck into the passing lane, and then one made a break. So there was kind of this crowd. And keep in mind, this filly's had the harness on, a week? A week? There was a gap opened up. Not like a big enough gap in a race, but not for a baby that has never seen anything before. So a gap opens up, and I move her over, and I just tap her on the tail. Hey. She shot through there and was gone. Shot right through there, drove to the lead, drove away from them. Like, she knew what she was supposed to do. I was floored that she did that. It's in the bigger scheme of things, it's nothing. It means nothing. This is a story in June that will mean nothing. But right here in the context of November, that was a super, super impressive move that she put on them. I was, as I said, shocked and happy, because this was one Anthony picked it. This was my value purchase of the entire Harrisburg sale. Steve and Amy and I didn't really spend a lot of time looking at all the horses. I did look at her briefly. The video I saw of her matched her. That was pretty much it. Looked at her, she looked straight. Her video matched what I saw. I liked her video. Very fluid, very quick on her feet in the video. Her pedigree was good. Not outstanding. She was going to fit what we needed. She was going to be that third round draft pick that could be, might be, but looked interesting. That was mine. And she looked amazing today. The Ohio Trot fillies looked amazing. Again, the Sedona Hill, Purple People Eater, Purple Horse Sister. Oh, she looked great. Oh, Snap You looked good again. There was a ton of horses. And there wasn't nobody really looked bad. I didn't come off the track and say, oh. Like even the Mounds horse, it wasn't bad. Just the fact that you had to pick at him, and he goes, yeah, he's always a little lazy going and whatever. It's not the end of the world, but we'll castrate him. And we'll castrate myself in the burr. So I had a great morning. I had a number of things I wanted to do this afternoon, but there were things that weren't open because the day before, none of the big things, all the big things were open, but some of the things I wanted to do around the racing industry I wasn't able to do them. So I got the oil changed, car wash, went home, wrote some emails, did some videos. Also, if there's an email that I haven't got back, I'm just catching up. You know what happens? So I'll tell you what happens. I open my phone, I go into my email list, and it goes on and on and on forever. And if I'm in Harrisburg and I get a ton of emails, I'll answer a bunch of them, and then maybe I'll have another wave come in. So I scrolled back all the way to November 1st. And when I tell you there was a lot of emails, you can only imagine how many emails there were. And there was pockets of emails in there that weren't answered. So if you wrote me, and I tried to answer them all today, and obviously apologetically, but I tried to answer them all today, and maybe there was, I don't usually miss emails, but just in this time of year, there's just, you have no idea how many come in, and I'm, especially when I'm going to the sale, I wake up in the morning trying to focus on who I'm going to look at, what we're trying to do, get some breakfast, get a Starbucks, get out the door, or get on the road. Not a lot of time to answer, especially if I'm driving. I can't be answering emails when I'm driving, so it's very difficult to do. So I apologize if I missed your email or didn't get back to you. Just maybe resend it. And again, I'm sorry if that in fact happened. So we went to the race this night, Red Overbach. Didn't know how he'd get around to half. I had a lot of clients say, when's he coming back to Ontario? Can we send him to the Meadowlands? This is a unique horse, right? James does not like driving him. He says he has a problem with his airway. You can hear him making a noise pulling up. He didn't make that noise tonight. You really have to drive him. James is a great driver. If you watch the progressive James McDonald, he's like every other driver. Put the bit in their mouth and have them on their toes so they can pounce. You can't do that with this horse. You need to keep him quiet. If you guys noticed how Jody drove him, and Jody's an aggressive driver too, but Jody would keep him in the infield, have him with the outrider, just keep him really relaxed. I'd never driven him before. I trained him the other day. I thought he trained good. They had a class for him. Now, it was a 45,000 claimer. So, again, I had people saying, Anthony, what if we lose him? Listen, there's no cakewalks in Ontario. There's no class I can send him back where he's going to be 8-5 and he should go out and win. He might be able to compete. I don't know. But that's a good class right there also. And he can race in that. Now that they left him, every week they leave that horse alone is another week less likely they could take him. And to be honest, if they take him, they take him. I think he's worth a little bit more than that, but without that class, I don't have a whole lot of places to go. We could go to the Meadows, talk about that in a minute. We could go to the Meadows, but I like where he's at right now. I like the way the horse is progressing right now. And really what I want to do is get a beat on, do we have to operate on that throat, or can we push him through? No, he wasn't super comfortable today, but he did his work well. And somebody said, well, he didn't trot real good. Horse was off 2.5 weeks, coming off a terrible race with James and a break with Mark. And then a break with James, I believe, or if not, another terrible race. So he's coming in off 3 stinkers, for sure. His morale is low. He's not tight. I can't tighten him up. You can't just paralyze him in here. We're going to let him rock. I went a mile and 2:11 in the jog cart with him last week. So he's short. He'll do very well in that class. It's a good spot for him. And everybody needs to understand. So he's I only races for $9,800 US. Okay. We can race him. I can put him in the Meadowlands. We can enter him in the Open. They go for 40, I think, or 30. It's not what we race for. It's what we get. And I think that's a great class for this horse. Second with him, super happy with the way he raced. I like the fact that he was manageable. That's what I do like about him. Keep in mind, it is a feather in our cap sometimes to be stabled at the track we're racing at. There's no shipping, right? There's no coming into this unfamiliar place, warming up. Just jog him, warm him up quietly, bring him right to the paddock. As I said, 2 city blocks from where he eats his hay and feed right now. So I thought he raced great. Now if we rewind again, I said the Meadows this afternoon, I was torn, and I feel terrible anytime things don't go the way they should. When I could have potentially mathematically been there, it eats at me a little bit. Makes me feel lazy, like I didn't do enough. I watched the race the same as you. I'm watching the race, and when I was done running around, I'm like, I missed Archer's Rainbow's race, and then it dawned on me, she's a huge favorite, and I didn't see a video on Facebook of her either. So I go back and watch the race. Halfway down the backstretch, I'm like, wow, she looks good. Halfway around the last turn, I'm like, this Kelly is really slipping. Didn't even post this filly's win. No, she didn't. Moonwalk halfway down the lane. Now, was it because she shipped over short? Did she tie up a little bit? Actually, if I remember, she did this a couple of times to Paul McKenzie on the front end of Georgian Downs. And I thought, she's a little tired. Maybe being a little cheating. Maybe cheating a little bit on the end of the mile. So as I said to Tim, maybe we'll open her up so she can get a look at the driver next week, and we'll make sure the driver is me. There'll be no moonwalking next week. I thought Brian Zent is usually a super relaxed, reserved guy. He moved her out of the 2-hole. I'm like, there's a ballsy move. Well played. Wait, hold the phone. Not so well played. I thought it was the right move when he made it. I loved the move when he made it, especially knowing Brian, how he is. But whatever, I was surprised that she did it. The only person more surprised that she did that than me was him. I can guarantee you that. 5-length lead, it looked like, coming out, at least 3 coming out of the turn, and held on for 4th. Didn't bleed, a little bit of mucus. All right, give her the benefit of the doubt, even though I shouldn't open bridle next week, and I will go to drive her next week. Now, Grace, I sent him a message. I said, easy filly to drive, keep her quiet, put her nose on the gate, leave with her, get a helmet, stay there as long as you can, and away you go. Or get away 8th, be 3rd over, and finish 7th. Not really the same thing. Now, I wasn't there. I don't know. Maybe she fell off the gate. Maybe she didn't want to leave. I know she tied up last week a little bit, but she's done that like 80% of her starts this year. That's her problem. For whatever reason, she cramps up. And we've tried to mitigate it a million different ways. It just can't seem to get it down pat. Now, we weren't able to take the blood today because they couldn't. It's Thanksgiving. This is your country. If you live in the U.S., nothing is open tomorrow, so we can't run that blood today. She raced at 5:30 or 5 o'clock. There's nowhere to run that blood the day before Thanksgiving, so we'll take it on Friday. I suspect at very least, well, I don't suspect, I know at very least there'll be some residual tie-up. Again, we're talking about those 2 levels, the CK, which is today, the AST, which is a little bit older. I'd like to see that CK level around 800, and that AST is probably going to be around 15. If that's the case, her levels were higher last week and she raced good. And for her, I just don't think she's the type of filly you get away 8th. And how does he know that? How does Aaron know that? It's not his fault. It's just the way it is. So again, I watched that race from my bed in Macedonia. I could have got off the track, run to the car, made my way back to Northfield Park just in time to drive right over Buck. I could have done that. That's loud. And I chose not to. So, my apologies to everybody. I will be there next week, both for Arches Rainbow and Grace. That's it for sure. So, that's it. No, it's not it. We went to the vet today in Ontario. I took Iglarium over. Now, I told everybody I was very, as I said to my partner, stay disappointed in 2022 with this filly as a whole. Not just now, not just the summer, not just the tie-ups and everything else. The entire year was a complete disaster from start to finish for Iglarium. But I was prepared just to say that's it and take the harness off her. And then I said, I got partners on this filly too, and some may not want to breed her, some may want to race her. And even though I can't see anything, we need the vet to take a look at her just to make sure. Had her over there today. We did find stuff, lots of stuff. Knees were really rough looking. Now you could inject them and she might be fine. Remember, I told everybody she wasn't lame the other day. Felt uncomfortable for a while, but not lame. Her knees were rough. We could inject them. One hind ankle in particular was a little rougher than it looked. Looked like something was going on in that ankle. Could have we injected that? Yep. There's 2 things. The third one, high suspensory left hind. No tears, but she saw what could be the start of something. We could have shocked that or crowd that and drove on. 3 problems found with the filly today. The knee, one knee looked like she said, Anthony, if she took the wrong step or really got pushed, I could see something coming off that 3rd carpal in her knee. I said, well, if this was July, do the work, we'll manage her and get her through. Maybe even August. But this is November, almost December now. And same thing with globetrotting, just not the year we wanted. And again, one of those situations where that is, put that in the memory banks and live and learn for us, for me, for sure. Those 2 mares, I believe, an entire year wasted. And that's, again, with hindsight, wonderful. It's not always that way. So, Iglarium is done. She's going to be bred. I don't know to who yet. I don't know what we're doing. We have a lot of irons in the fire when it comes to what our options are with our horses this year. We all know that 3-Point Blue Chip is put to stud, so we will. I did buy that mare in Harrisburg for 3-Point Blue Chip. When she does foal out the Volstead baby, she'll be bred to 3-Point Blue Chip. State Park S. Again, I believe there's still shares of State Park up there if people want to join in. And then I am toying with the idea of breeding, as I said, breeding our boy Kings County. Now I thought Kentucky to begin with, but now maybe Ohio. Maybe Ohio. We'll see. Anyway, not a lot of time, but still some time before those decisions have to be made. But Aglarian, the decision is made. She is done. She's retired. We are going to breed her. And then the fillies that went over to, the horses that went over to Drebin, I thought we might find an OCD left hind in Drebin because he's over on the right shaft a bit. Nothing found. Clean bill of health for Drebin. Again, I thought we would find something with, maybe find something with insider trading. Nothing. Tiny OCD in her hind ankle, but in a spot where she said, I wouldn't even take it out. I wouldn't even worry about it. Okay, super. And then the other horse we had over was Punch the Clock. Clean bill of health for her also. Another tiny OCD in a spot. She said, don't even worry about it. It's a non-issue. Okay, super. So clean bill of health across the board. We were going to have Flash fly over also. She was a little sick today. Wasn't feeling good, so we gave her the day off. So that, you guys are all caught up now with the vet, the glare. She's going to be a mama. She's going to be a broodmare. I know it's a long time to wait for me especially, but I can't wait to see what kind of horse she throws because she had high speed. The other horse over were Drebin, clean bill of health, Punch the Clock, clean bill of health also. And our girl insider trading, clean bill of health. So that's good. Red Overbach raced fantastic tonight. He'll be back in that class next week. I did get a win and almost missed the drive on a horse in race 5. And then this afternoon, disappointing from the Meadows, but just the way it played out, I'll be there next week. So with that, I'll let you guys go. It's going to chew up my data now, 27 minutes. Wow. But it is what it is. Lots of stuff going on. Some big announcements about some stuff we're doing in the month of December coming out tomorrow. I'm just waiting to finalize some things for that. But that should be cool also for us. So never a dull day for sure at thestable.ca. I will talk to you all later. I hope you all had a great day. Congratulations to everybody that did well in the last 2 days. For those of you who didn't, we'll get them next week.